you recently sold a part of the business for $100 million, which is crazy. So how did all this get started?
Long story short, I pivoted that business to a site called Get 10,000 Fans because at the time I got really good at Facebook marketing.
You were running ads to get people to buy a program on how to create fan pages.
Yeah, 90 days later, that thing was doing $100,000 a month.
You guys raised $3 million. Then what was the next raise?
Raised another 10, doubled again that next year, and then end of 2021 raised another 85, 90.
So you guys raised $100 million in total in a few years. You know, speaking of that, right? I mean, you guys have billions of dollars of data points to say this price, this product, this upsell, this landing page, all this stuff works. What is working right now for people? What's going on, Wealth Builders? Today, I've got somebody who sold just part of his company for $100 million. We are going to go in depth on internet marketing, branding, ads, the whole bit. I have got Brian Moran, the founder of SamCart. What's up?
What's going on?
Dude, so let me give some context to the audience of how all this came about. I get a random text from some number I don't have on my phone. He's like, hey, my name's Brian, man. You know, I'm the founder of SamCart. I'm doing this little mastermind coming up here, in like a month. Would love to have you. I'm having like some really high level people. I'm like, who the heck is this guy? I don't know. And then we just start talking and you're talking about the people going. There's no cost or anything. You're like, I just want to have cool people together. And then, I find out you're a Christian and you like golf and all this. I'm like, dude, all right, I'm down for all this. This all sounds great. And then, dude, we went to the mastermind. I have a lot of things I can share at that I've already implemented that are making a drastic impact.
Nice.
But then, we golfed and we had a great time. And so now you're here pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. It was funny how I was just telling your assistant the story that we've been meaning to put on this big event because we have so many like big names that are using SamCart, especially in we got started in the digital product space. So big names in that space, but then there's a lot of these sellers that are doing 10x what a lot of digital product guys are doing in the physical product world that are crazy smart. So we got to get all these people together.
Yeah.
And so we've been meaning to do it forever, just never pulled the string on it. And so as the room started to come together, that's when I reached out to our sales guys and was like, hey, is there anyone you've talked to that you guys haven't closed that are, that are big, that are sharp, that belong in this room? And they gave me your number, Chris Doe, a couple other guys, and I just randomly texted you guys hoping you would know who I was. Apparently you didn't.
I did not.
But I was like, well, I'll drop the other names that are coming too.
Yeah.
And then, hopefully if you look us up, you realize we're legit. So it worked out.
That's awesome. So for those who don't know what SamCart is, what do you guys do?
Yeah, we are, you think it's kind of the anti-Shopify. We're Shopify. If you need an online store with a bunch of SKUs and you want to build, a shopping environment, we're more the Shopify for marketers, for salespeople. A lot of Shopify's bigger sellers use us for the checkout process wherever they drive paid ads or like big email campaigns too. It's essentially a super dialed in, high converting checkout process that you can embed anywhere. You can put it inside a webinar. You can embed it onto a landing page that you build with whatever website builder you're building.
You can put it with ClickFunnels or Go High Level.
You can use it with anything. But if you accept an order with us, use us to essentially power your checkout, our pitch is you're going to convert more customers and make your customers more valuable, which in the end usually is a pretty big lift for the average business that isn't doing those things.
So why is your checkout page so much better?
Well, there's a bunch of factors that kind of all coalesce
I'm like thinking
into
of it.
one.
I don't currently use it. I'm like, all right, pitch me. Why is it better?
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about using SamCart. We were just hanging out, but I am curious.
Yeah. I mean, one, it's lightning fast. We actually have a funny ad that I'm sure the Kajabi guys don't like it. And I like those guys, but I mean, you got to kind of tell the truth. Our checkout, I think, was like 3 times faster than theirs. So just you think about speed. All of us, when we're buying anything, if your checkout is slow and it's sitting there and waiting to load, you're going to lose a lot of the sales. That's why Amazon put billions of dollars into one-click checkout.
Yeah.
Like they didn't do that because they just thought it was a good idea. Like there's actual money behind it. You're losing a
ton of conversion by being slow.
Yeah. So checkout's got to be lightning fast and you got to have every available option that someone is likely to pay with. So if someone likes PayPal and you don't have it, you're going to lose a good chunk of those sales. If you're selling high ticket stuff and you don't have buy now, pay later, Klarna Afterpay, or the ability to offer pay plans on the same page, you're going to lose a lot of those sales. If someone's on their phone and you don't have Apple Pay, Google Pay, you're going to lose a lot of those sales. So ours is lightning fast and has basically every option that you would need to offer someone the ability to pay.
Yeah.
Right there. That's half the equation. The other half is if you're not maximizing the value of every customer by giving them the ability to spend more, you're lighting money on fire as a business owner. So you can get them to pay more a bunch of ways. There's pre-checkout, we call them order bumps, so little things you can add into the cart before you check out.
Yeah.
There's pricing tiers. So if you have, a course or a physical product and you have a silver, gold, platinum, offering those pre-checkout will increase average order value. And then post-checkout, after someone actually orders, if you don't have upsells, downsells, cross-sells, upgrades, all these ways to get people to spend more, you're leaving a ton of money on the table.
Yeah.
And so that's our main pitch. We will get you more customers in the door without you needing any extra traffic, and we will make all of your customers worth more, which is usually a pretty huge lift for people that aren't doing those things.
Not like upsells and all that stuff. Do you guys help people figure that out, or how does that work?
We have an implementation team that will get in the weeds and actually help with strategy. It's not what the business really does. We don't have we're not a coaching business. We're not a course business. But what my job as the founder now, getting more into the kind of content game, which that's a whole nother conversation. I view my job as to share what's working with the world, which is why we talked about that VIP event, to do more things like that where I can actually teach what's going on behind the scenes. What are our top sellers doing strategically at checkout, during checkout, post checkout to drive up conversion rate, drive up average order value.
And just to give context to the audience too, for the people, you're like, hey, I can share what's working. Like, how big is this pool of information? Like, how many transactions are being run? Like, what's the volume look like?
I mean, it's over $6 billion in revenue, over $1 billion a year.
So you guys are processing over $1 billion a year in payments from everyone that uses SamCart.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of data.
Yeah, it'll be billions pretty soon. Like, it's well over $1 billion.
And then SamCart, like, how do you guys make money?
We make money the same way like a company like Shopify does. SamCart is a monthly fee. Or obviously, you can go annual as well. So you have a recurring fee for the software. And then on the payment processing side, we actually don't charge anything, but we have relationships with the big payment processors because we're not an actual payment processor.
Yeah.
We let you bring your Stripe account, your Braintree account, your Authorized.net account.
So you don't make money on the payment processing. It's just your monthly.
We make some money there, but we don't make it by adding more to your payment processing fee.
They just give you a kickback, essentially.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So, speaking of that, right? I mean, you guys have billions of dollars of data points to say this price, this product, this upsell, this landing page, all this stuff works. What is working right now for people?
I mean, it's kind of your age old, what has always worked for upselling always continues to work. So people the mistakes people make, one is you'd be shocked how few of people actually upsell and sell anything on the back end.
So for anyone wondering, right? Let's say I have a ticket to an event, right? It's like, boom, you buy this ticket. Do people sell event tickets on SamCart, I assume? Right. Yep. So I sell a ticket. I can just be done, or I can now sell something else with it.
Yeah. So rule number one is always sell not just something else, but ideally multiple things.
Yeah.
So make a VIP ticket, like make a backstage pass, make a extra take home, box or workbook. Do something for God's sakes. These are people who trust in your brand enough to give you money. They want to give you more. They're coming because they believe you're going to solve this problem, solve another problem, deliver more value. My easiest go-to, and upselling is different based on what your business is. So for us in SaaS, it's different than someone selling courses or skateboards, but more of what they just bought or making what they just bought easier to implement is always the easiest way to do it. So if you're in physical products, you'd think it's crazy, but someone buys a skateboard, sell them another skateboard. Or sell them different wheels, or a helmet or pads or
rims,
whatever.
Or whatever they call them. What are they don't call them rims. I forget.
We could call them rims.
I think they're called the trucks.
I would not know.
I used to be a skater for like a season. I had DCs. I think I had is it Osiris? I can't remember. But yeah, they call it the trucks, I think.
There you go. Sell them trucks.
Yeah. So obviously upsell, do all of that. We can get more into the weeds on that. But one thing I want to just talk about real quick too, that I found fascinating when we were hanging out, was just the journey of SamCart. You recently sold a part of the business for $100 million, which is crazy. And you still have equity and you're still, in the business, and you guys are positioning for whatever ends up happening, right? Just continuing to grow. You guys have bought companies, incorporated it into SamCart. So how did all this get started?
Yeah, I mean, it was 2013. So if we rewind, I graduated college 2009, thought the baseball career was going to take me to the minors like it did for you. Mine did not work out that way. Was like, look, I'm engaged. I got to go home and get a job. Landed a job in the DC area, worked for the government like everybody else. Found out what all the chaos happening in the government world. I was sitting around doing nothing, making good money. But for me, that was like a punishment to sit there with, I was in a top secret building, so no phone, no internet, no nothing, 8 hours a day with nothing to do.
Yeah.
And most people would sit there and say, you got great benefits, you're making great money, you're 22 years old, count your blessings. For me, it was like that. That was not how I felt.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I got to get out of here. Started looking online for ways to make money on the internet, and then discovered these guys who had a course that were making great money, teaching something that they were passionate about. And I thought, okay, I know how to build websites. I'd done a little bit of that, spent a couple years in web design in college, and started my first online business, which was trainbaseball.com. Spent year and a half making no money whatsoever. Finally figured out how to
With Train Baseball, I'm assuming you were training baseball.
Yeah.
What'd you sell?
It was ebooks, courses, all about everything baseball. So hitting, base running, weightlifting.
You teach them drills, all that stuff.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep. So that made decent money, not enough to quit my job, but luckily I pissed off the biggest guy in the baseball space because I was ripping his landing pages essentially. And he reached out and was not happy with me. And we got in this huge argument. Luckily, I think he saw kind of in me something that for whatever reason he liked.
Scrappy entrepreneur.
Yeah. And so he kind of took me under his wing. And long story short, I pivoted that business to a site called Get 10,000 Fans because at the time I got really good at Facebook marketing. So I was running ads, building up a huge fan page, and that was like a new hot topic. And he encouraged me for whatever reason, either to get me out of his niche or because he saw the potential there. He said, look, go into that kind of internet marketing world and teach people what you're doing with Facebook. Went home, 90 days later, that thing was doing $100,000 a month.
Wow.
And was just life-changing.
So you were running ads to get people to buy a program on how to create fan pages.
Yeah. I had a suite of products anywhere from like $50 to $500 about fan pages. I mean,
there was no like high ticket then. It was just all courses.
I've always been scared of high ticket, like never charged more than $500 for probably the first 8 years of my career.
Whoa.
All low ticket. Luckily back then you could get away with it because ads were so cheap that I was printing money. It didn't really matter.
Yeah. Like what were you like how much were you spending to basically buy a product that had no fulfillment?
Yeah. I mean, I remember the first day I'm talking to my wife. I'm like, hey, I want to turn Facebook ads back on. She's like, well, it didn't really work in the baseball site that you had. So maybe take it easy. So I'm like, all right, let me put $50 into this thing. The funnel was ad, opt-in, $50 course, $100 upsell, $100 second upsell. And put $50 in, $250 came back. I'm like
5x day one.
Yeah. So I'm like, I think this worked. Can we spend more? She's like, okay, spend a little bit more. So I put 100 in, like $600-700 came out.
Dang.
And just ramped up to $2 or $3 grand a day, making like 6 to 8, 9K a day, something like that.
By the way, I always ask this to people because now it's something that I'm doing, but why not do 20 grand a day? What was stopping you?
You know what? I actually don't remember if I either tried and like you hit, diminishing returns, or I just said, This is good.
This is a
Don't
lot of
break
money.
it. Like, don't change anything.
Yeah.
Which, if anyone's run Facebook ads, like one little change that thing is finicky. Like, if you have something going good, sometimes you just let it sit. But yeah, I don't think I tested ramping it up. I think I just said, this is a lot of money. Like, let's let it sit here and just print cash for a little while. What's funny, so you ended up, that thing was doing $100,000 a month top line. I mean, 80% profit margin,
There's
something
no sales
crazy.
team. There's no
it's just
staff.
me. My brother was still playing ball back in college, so I told him, like, hey, I need a support rep. You want to, for $20 an hour, answer all these emails I'm getting now. So I brought him on, and I sat there for 18 months making that money before I even had the confidence to quit my job, because I thought it was not going to last. Like, I'm looking at more money coming in every day than I've seen in a monthly paycheck, and I was still going to work inside a lockdown government facility because I was just scared to quit my job.
Right.
But yeah, so long story short, we ran that 2010, 11, 12. By 2013, a couple of things happened. One, I was kind of bored. Like, look, we're doing $3-4 million a year, very good profit margins. And I now at that point knew everybody in the space because I became
This
kind
was
of
the
this,
fan thing still.
Yeah. So this is get 10,000 fans. I'm the Facebook guy, in everybody's mastermind. So I can kind of see how the industry works. And I noticed not many guys were north of 10 million. And then anyone who had scaled to where I was trying to get 10 mil, they were doing things I didn't want to do. Not that they were wrong, but they were getting into the high ticket world. They had coaching programs. They were doing events.
Yeah.
And I don't like speaking. I don't like doing events. I definitely don't like coaching people one-on-one, like at scale. That wasn't the business I wanted to get into.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking around saying, it looks like if I'm going to stay with this model that I like, that is fun for me, I can be behind the scenes just messing with ads and funnels, I'm probably capped at $3, $4, $5 million a year. And I didn't want to be capped. Like, I want to, go after the next challenge. And this was kind of that era of SaaS really becoming a thing. Clay Collins just launched Lead Pages. Russell was working on ClickFunnels. And I saw that these businesses really scaled and didn't need all of the things that I didn't want to do, all the high ticket, coaching programs, events, et cetera. So I said, okay, we're going to start a software company. And me and Scott were, again, at the time, running a $3-4 million business. And I said, like, let's build it for us, but make it easy enough for a beginner. But let's take what we know about checkout page conversion, upsell techniques, back-end analytics, tracking lifetime value, and let's actually make a shopping cart that someone like us would want. Because at the time, the shopping carts of the day were terrible. I mean, we were still using one shopping cart, hacking together Infusionsoft. There were a lot of issues with those options back then. And so we said, okay, we got to find a developer. Let's build this thing out and just build what we want to run our business. And that was kind of the birth of SamCart. In the idea in 2013, started building it, and got the beta out in 2014.
And how did the company progress from there?
Well, luckily, so we didn't have to do what most software companies do, which is go raise money to pay for, all the engineering, hosting, all that stuff, and then marketing when you're ready. We had a business that was making great money and had the audience that we wanted. So all the people buying our Facebook marketing courses were entrepreneurs selling online, trying to use social media. So we got it ready, and then I just did our own kind of big internal email marketing push. Got our first $1 million in recurring revenue in the first week by just doing a big push. And it kind of just took a life of its own after that. I mean, it was a lot of struggle those early years before raising money, before learning how to build a team and run a team. But that was kind of how we got the ball rolling, getting it to, actually positive, revenue by using the audience and the cash that we had from the prior business.
Okay. So, I mean, you guys are building this thing. You're kind of, I guess, used to doing lower ticket.
Yeah.
But now you're selling a recurring product versus a one-time ebook or course or whatever. So what was it like when you started to see recurring compound? Because I'm starting to now see that for the first time in my career.
Yeah.
The last 6 months, we changed everything to recurring. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is nice.
Yeah. Yeah. It was awesome. In the early days, I don't want to say there wasn't a lot of compounding, but what I learned early on was selling software and any recurring subscription really is a lot different and a lot harder than selling one time. It's a totally different animal.
Yeah.
It costs more to acquire those people.
Yep.
You got to sell them differently.
Yeah. Everybody's like, I want recurring.
Yeah.
Like in theory,
Yeah.
the business is worth more. It's awesome. But everything is harder on the front end.
Yeah. And people have to actually not just want what you have, but need it.
And use it.
And use it. That's it. Need it. Like in the course world, someone could want my baseball training video and buy it because they just want it.
Or to learn real estate investing.
Yeah. So that from 2014 to 2018, really, we didn't ads, which paid media is like my background. That's what I'm really good at. I could not get it to work for 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
And
but so you stayed with it. You were like, I believe this is like the thing.
Yeah.
Even though it's not working.
Yeah. Like my kind of favorite thing, and it's kind of my job now in the business, is to solve the unsolvable problem. Like I don't like something that takes 4 years to solve, ideally, but I like something that's tough. And yeah, I mean, I was kind of pot committed at that point, put millions of dollars into this thing.
You're making less than what you were making in the baseball thing, I would imagine, or the follower thing.
Oh, yeah. Like there were years in there I didn't pay myself because we had a team and
you're just living off of the money you had made from the follower thing.
Yeah.
Did you ever think to just keep that going? And
there were times, like maybe 3 or 4 times between launching in 2014 and really turning off the Get 10,000 Fans business in that's probably 2018, 2019, where I would go back to the pot because things were so rough. I'm like, I need to go. Revenue has to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, those were tough years. And on top of having, like, our oldest is 10, our boy's 8. So it was starting to have kids, building a business, scaling a team, realizing I'm not the person to run this thing. Sales are tough. Like those years were tough.
So 4 really hard years trying to build this SaaS company, not having a lot of success, having to keep going back to the thing that had made you money. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to this because a lot of entrepreneurs, they work a job starting out, right? And they're like, I want to start a business. And so they start a SamCart, business. They're selling product of something, right? And it's not working.
Yeah.
And they got to just kind of go back to what works. And then finally, maybe over years it works. And I've even told this to people too. For me, on the education side, I actually started in 2018 when I first went to a 10X Growth Con. So I didn't even know who Russell was or anybody.
Yeah.
I had no exposure to digital marketing. But I went to Growth Con. I knew who Grant was. And he pitches, and it was his legendary $3 million pitch. I bought. I was like, I don't even know what I just bought, but that was awesome. Like, I need funnels. I need to sell stuff.
Yep.
And I bought it. It influenced me to write my first book, Flip Your Future. I'm like, okay, so I'll start with a book. I literally wrote the book in 30 days and self-published, and it's done great. Then I made a course, and I'm like, okay, I need a digital course. And I'm like, okay, Russell says to sell this thing for like $1,000 or $2,000. Like, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to run ads to it. I'm going to print money. Dude, I literally did not print money. I didn't sell any. I literally didn't sell one course. And I was like,
How much marketing did you put behind it?
Thousands.
Jeez.
I spent a few thousand, and I spent thousands producing it.
Yeah. Yep.
And nothing happened.
Yep.
And this is in 2018. And mind you, that year I made $2 million flipping houses. So I was like, dude, this internet thing does not work. This is stupid. And I make great money flipping houses. So I'm just going to keep flipping houses. So 2018, don't do anything digitally. I did do one event, and I basically did it organically. I was like, hey, one day at my office, $3,000, 10 people only. I'm going to teach you everything I know about flipping a house. And it sold out like that. And I was like, well, that worked.
Yep.
That was different. And there's no fulfillment. I just go one day, teach them, and we're all done.
Yep.
2019, same thing. Nothing happens. I try to do a webinar this time because I didn't do a webinar before. I'm like, all right, and he's like, yeah, make this webinar and film it evergreen, and we're gonna do all this stuff. And I'm like, this sucks. and does nothing again. Complete flop. 2020 comes around. So I'm like making nothing from education. 2020 comes around and I learn about TikTok and YouTube. At that point, I wasn't really even thinking about it from like, oh, like funnels and courses. I'm like, I'm just going to make content because I know building your brand is like a really smart thing.
Yeah.
So I just start making content and it works. And then demand started to come. People were like, teach us, coach us. We don't want courses. So that was the real birth of that business. And then we started doing coaching. Then we started doing quarterly events. And I didn't really actually get into paid until middle of 2022. Everything was organic for years. And then I got into paid then, and we used it to sell events. And now for like the last year and a half, I've actually like been doing all the paid myself and truly understanding all this stuff.
Yeah. It's one of the things that has surprised me more than anything, looking into, again, 20,000 sellers across SamCart doing, well over $1 billion a year, is still at the very top of the seller list. I mean, these guys are doing minimum 10 million a year, max, I think top sellers doing like 150, 200 million. Most of them are still essentially one channel. Like they are a paid media shop, or they're an organic shop, or they're an affiliate shop. And like people, especially in the early days, you think you got to do all of it. Like you gotta
you're doing 10 million a year organically.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's like, I think back now and I'm like, wow, man, that's kind of crazy that we were doing that. But now I see that like eventually though, to do like really massive, and I learned this at the mastermind, and we can talk about that later, but I did learn, I have to master paid if I'm ever going to get this to a crazy amount.
Yep.
Organic has a cap.
Yeah. Yep. I would agree.
So, you're struggling. At what point did things get better? I mean, like what happened?
Yeah. I mean, so let's see. Funny story. The original crew building SamCart in 2013 was me, my younger brother, who's been with me from the beginning, co-founder, and then a guy named Justin and a guy named Zach, who both now are working here. Justin is now our CEO, and Zach is probably our best engineer. In the early days, 2013, we're all just buds. I went to college with Justin, so we reconnected. I found out he was an engineer. I was like, hey, I got this idea for this shopping cart tool. Can I pay you like 50 grand to build it for me? And he's like, okay, let me bring in my buddy Zach, because they were working together. They start building it, and we get it almost to the finish line. And Justin calls me. He's like, hey, man, like, I know we're just doing this like short stint together. He's basically a contractor, and he got a insane job offer from a big publicly traded SaaS company up in New York City. And he's like, I'm going to leave you with Zach, leave you in good hands, hire a couple more engineers, but I'm going to go take this job because it's crazy money, awesome career move for him. And so it was like, no hard feelings. Like, we're not partners. He's just a contractor. I wish he would have stayed.
Yeah.
We'd be in a much better spot today if both of them would have stayed.
Yeah.
But like, he made the right call for at the time. So we lost Justin. Zach stayed on. And I ended up hiring a bunch of cheap engineers locally. Like I literally recruited these guys off Craigslist. That's like how little I knew about finding good talent. And so they walked into the office. I hired like the first 4 guys with a pulse. And it was a very rough year for the software, a rough couple years for the software with, you hire B, C level talent, especially when you're building a piece of software. It's like building a house. Like it kind of has to be built correctly.
Yep.
And so the team starts growing, gets up to 14, 15 people, and things are just a mess. Like I'm almost not making payroll for all these people. My life is miserable. They're all coming to me because I just don't know how to run a team. And there's, no managers in place, no meetings happening ever, no check-ins with the team. It's just like chaos. It's like 15 guys in a dorm room for 4 years. And so I fire half of them. And then over the next year and a half, slowly start to build back up to 14, 15 people. Same result. Gets chaotic, almost missing payroll. Like I can't figure out how to scale this thing.
How do you have faith throughout this to like not give up?
I mean, what's the option? Like,
you go back to the 10,000 follower thing.
No, you can't do that. It's like sports, dude. Like, you don't, there is no giving up. There is a goal you're after. And like, unless someone kills me, I'm going to get there. at some point in time.
Okay.
That's my attitude.
Yeah.
Like, and I knew I could always go back. Like, I'm not going to let this thing bankrupt me. Like, I'm being smart with my money. I'm not putting my family at risk.
Yeah. Because I always thought that when I started to flip houses, I was like, you know what? Worst case is this doesn't work out and I go back to flipping couches, which is what I was doing before.
Yeah.
And then, I've been flipping houses and, you do the content thing. You're like, the worst case is this doesn't work out. I know I can make money flipping houses. So I guess my point is like, when you can make money at a certain thing, you can always have this fallback plan.
Yep.
So for you to stay in something for so long tells me like, because you have the fallback option. It's not like SamCart had to succeed.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, what forced you to keep staying with it?
It's I think it's the competition. It's I want to win, and I don't like accepting failure.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be that guy that said I gave up. I don't want to be the guy that, even at our stage now, like we've raised $100 million from some pretty big investors. I mean, really big.
Yeah.
And I want to be the guy that they talk about 5 years from now that they at the dinner table or the bar and they say, that kid could have given up or could have cashed out, but he didn't. For me, like that's what I am playing for. Like everything else is fine. Like the money's great. Like I want to build a great product, but in the end, I want to win. And even in those like 2016, 17, when those rough years, I knew at any point I would never do this, but if I had to, you could lay off 80% of the team. It's recurring revenue. The software is fine. It's not going to break. You get one engineer that keeps it up. We're only serving a couple thousand customers back then. This thing could have been crazy profitable for a long time, and I wouldn't even need to touch it. So you have that fallback. And so I just, wanted to keep marching forward. And I think it was late 2017 was finally after 2 or 3 times of scaling the team up to 15 and it imploding and me realizing the only common denominator here is me. Like it's
I just
probably
suck at hiring and
I'm
people.
just not good at like, actually managing people, holding them accountable, making sure they know what to do. And I called Justin back, and Justin had left us in 2013. And so he had 4 years under his belt up in New York City. And I found out he was running some pretty huge teams in the software world, VC-backed companies, and convinced him to come back and basically he was essentially the CEO then, but he wasn't in title. He was our COO. And so he was my right-hand guy. And within 2 years, we'd scaled up to like 30 people. And I actually enjoyed my life and liked going to work. Yeah. And everything was so much smoother. It was like night and day. That I realized like, okay, this could be really big. Like I just needed, what's that book? Is it Rocket Fuel that talks about every business needs integrator and visionary? Yep. And that's really all I needed.
You're a great visionary.
Yeah.
Bad integrator.
Yep.
Which most visionaries are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you bring him back, things start to improve. What happens next? Where does the selling the company and all these things start to happen? Yeah,
so me and him had a talk in 2017. I flew him in because I knew just get him in the building, let him see how chaotic this is, but how much money we're still making. Yeah. And someone like him will look at this and say, all I have to do is like 3 or 4 things and this thing should take off.
Yeah.
And so I gave him a small piece of the company. And then he had one big question. He said, look, I only want to come here if you are open to raising money in the future. Because I'd always told him I was not. And I never was. I don't want to say I lied to him because there's probably a 1% chance that back then I was like, yeah, maybe I will. But I was pretty dead set. Like, I never want to raise money. Why would I give anyone else control? Why would I let anyone else sit around the table and make decisions with me? But after seeing what having him did for the business, that this thing really could grow really big.
Yeah, what was your mindset, I guess, at that point? Because you're like, I don't want to raise money. Were you thinking, hey, I want to sell the company one day? Or like, you're like, I just want this thing to make money.
Yeah, I think it was just make money. Yeah. Build a great business, build a great product, and the rest will work itself out. Yeah. Like,
there's no end goal, but let's just get this thing fully to its potential.
Yeah. Yeah. That for me, that was always number one. There's so many things I want to build and I want to see happen. that if we just do these, everything else will work itself out.
Yeah.
So that's still our mindset today. But yeah, so 2 years after bringing Justin in was 2019, and things were really rocking. And so he kind of approached me again and said, hey, I think we should go put some feelers out, talk to some investors and see if we could raise a little bit of money.
Yeah.
And I was open to it. Again, I think it was just seeing what happened to the business when we had someone like him, that now I could see what happens when you pour more fuel on this fire.
Yeah.
So we went out, raised a small, like $3 million seed round, basically round one. And that was a kind of a magic moment for me, seeing what just a little bit of extra cash that you kind of you're forced to deploy. I can't put it in my bank. I have to deploy it to improve this business. I have to hire people. I have to run more ads. I have to do something productive with it. And that really changed the game for us. We doubled the business in 12 months after raising just $3 million.
That's an interesting way of thinking, because I thought about that too. Not in my normal businesses where like, oh, what if we had an extra $5 million? Like, what would we do? Because we don't. So I'm like, it's not really an exercise you go through mentally.
Yeah.
But I did think about it actually for our nonprofit with Wealthy Kingdom, because I was like, man, we operate super lean and we're doing these events and Bible studies and everything, and it's awesome. But I was like, what if somebody gave us $1 million tomorrow? What would I do?
Yep.
And I really had to think about it, because we're in this mindset of like leanness and operating that way. And like a nonprofit's kind of similar to your model, where it's like, no, nobody wants us to just sit on money in a nonprofit. The goal is to go utilize the money.
Yep.
Right. And most, let's say, churches would go immediately, like if they're going to get a lot of money, it's to go buy a building.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but everything we're doing, we don't need to buy a building. Like it's not really necessary.
Yeah.
So I just started thinking, like I was running the exercise, like, yeah, if somebody did do that, what would I do? And it was a weird way of thinking, because we're always usually thinking from a limited resource perspective. We're never really like, oh, dude, if I had like excess resource and I had to use it for the business, what would I do?
Yeah. And when you're for profit, like we were, like we still are, any excess, you're thinking as the entrepreneur, like,
that's my money.
I got to put this in the bank. Like,
exactly.
I don't know what the future holds. So like, I got to, jump all over this and keep it for myself.
And that's how I think currently in my current business. It's not like, oh, well, let's just go blow millions of dollars because we don't. I'm like, no, that can go in my life.
Yeah.
But with the nonprofit, that doesn't happen. And so that it made me think that same way.
Yeah. It drives me nuts. I usually keep my mouth shut, but there's a lot of folks in kind of the, build a business world that knock taking money, because they, I get knocking it when someone does it because they have to. Like we raise money and we didn't need it. And we built the business to $6 or $7 million in recurring revenue before we ever raised $1. So we never had to, and we were profitable. We raised it because we wanted to, which one gets you better terms, keeps control. But people like to knock it and say, like, oh, you got there and, you kind of cheated and raised money.
I think that's stupid.
We built a business that justifies raising it. The
biggest businesses in the world pretty much have all raised money.
Yeah.
Or gone public, which is raising money.
Yeah. And there's just things that it enabled us to do that, again, we never would have even thought about doing, even if we had that money. Like if we had all that cash in the bank before, again, I probably would have taken a big chunk of it and, put it to work, invested it somewhere, and just not gone through that mental exercise of what would happen to the business if we deployed $100 million. So yeah, for us, it was a decision I wrestled with for a long time, but am so glad that we did it, and probably would do it again.
Well, yeah, it's turned out pretty good. So you guys raised $3 million. Then what was the next raise?
Yeah, then we did a Series A a year later after we basically doubled, raised another 10
at a new valuation,
and then
obviously
doubled again that next year, and then end of 2021 raised another 85, 90.
Wow. Which, by the way, was like the perfect time to raise.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, like people were handing out checks like it was stimulus money everywhere.
Yep.
So you guys raised $100 million in total in a few years. Now, like with the 85, talk about, because we had talked about it at the golf course, but talk about how that one was a little bit different, because clearly it's a lot more money, but other things were happening too.
Yeah. The biggest thing was, I remember I told the investors, hey, if we go through this, I am definitely no longer CEO by title. I'm not really CEO anyway. Justin is fulfilling all those duties, but it's not his title. But he needs to be, on LinkedIn, the CEO. As far as everyone is concerned, CEO, we're going to get so big, just people wise, that I want to be where I'm most valuable to this company, which is doing marketing, sales, strategy, being up in the clouds, thinking about where we're going to go, and then being down in the weeds and doing what I love to do, which is just all marketing and sales. So we made that pivot. We sold it's called secondary. We took a few chips off the table. Those of us, me and my brother and a couple others. So that was nice. Just to be able to say, like, when you're raising that much, these investors want you to go all in. I mean, now you're looking at like $1 billion exit is the goal. And so it's been a very funny journey. We've talked to probably 100 at this point, different investors. And what's nice is we were in a position where we kind of could decide whether we wanted to raise or not. Like, we didn't need to. And so it puts you in a good spot to go through these negotiations. And when they're telling you, look, we want you to go all in, like this could be worth billions and billions of dollars, it kind of gave us the chance to sit back and say, look, we agree, but if you want us to risk all of our personal wealth and our family's future, like, we all have young kids. At least in my area, they're not stepping foot in public school. They're going to private school. Like, that shit's expensive. So, and I don't have an unlimited salary at this business. Like, yeah. I am at a set salary. So we'll go all in and go big, but help us out on the financial side and let us take a few chips off the table, which is essentially them just buying some of my shares directly. And that was a huge blessing in disguise to go through that exercise, because now you can just play fearless and say, look. Yeah,
you got your life-changing money already done.
Yeah, you can say, obviously this is not the approach that I take, but it could all crash and burn.
Yeah.
And like,
I'm still good.
Yeah, I'm not going to be on the street. So we're still not the founding team that goes and does reckless things. Like, there are plenty of those out there who go deploy $100 million faster than you could imagine that much money could be deployed. But yeah, it was a wild ride to see that much money come into a business. I think we went from 45 to 150 people in less than a year.
Wow.
It was crazy town.
So you do this raise, you're like basically saying, look, we're going to raise money for the business and you're going to have to pay me out X amount. Like, I'm still part of the business. I'm still all in. Like, it's an interesting thing because, I see it from a private equity standpoint of, we need you to be hungry. So we don't want you to be too wealthy and too content.
Yep.
But at the same time, you're like, well, bro, like, I've spent the last 10 years building this thing, I need to have some reward at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I don't need $1 billion to secure my family's future forever.
Yep. Yeah. And my argument to them was actually almost the flip side. It was, if you're questioning my hunger after what you've seen my track record is, you're looking at the wrong track record. If I wasn't hungry, I would have fired 80% of these people and sat on a nice little $10 million a year recurring revenue business that's going to print $10 million a year for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, you can question anything you want about me. Hunger's not one of them.
Yeah.
We could sell this business tomorrow and I'm not going anywhere. It's fun. I want to win. Like, for me, the definition of winning would probably be a couple different things, but we're going up against some huge publicly traded companies, Shopify being king in that space. Winning for me, obviously I'd love to beat them, but that's, we have a long way to go.
When you think of them being a strategic buyer.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
But for me, winning is scaring them. Like, if I know,
buying you.
if I find out one day that at a board meeting they are changing their company strategy because of us, like, that's a win. And it doesn't. We could sell tomorrow for $1 billion all cash. I would not quit the next day. I would stay and try to make that win a reality. But that's just kind of who I am. I don't like losing.
Yeah, that makes sense. So obviously you got to now do something completely different. You've got a lot of money in the bank. You now have a new mission to go not blow, but like spend money at rates you've never spent money before.
Yeah.
To grow the company, hire people, spend money on ads. What was that like? Because it's kind of interesting where a lot of these companies that raise money, they know they're not going to be profitable.
Yeah.
For however long to go deploy this.
Yep.
And, we as entrepreneurs, we always think about profitability. Very few entrepreneurs have the luxury of like losing money to grow a company.
Yeah.
The only way you can do that is really if you raise money.
Yep.
So what was that transition like?
I mean, it happens so fast. You almost just have to get used to it as it goes. My mental shift was changing from looking at the profit that's coming in, which was kind of the mindset of 2010 to 2018. And now just looking at top line, because that's what the company's valued off of. That's kind of the biggest signal to, are we growing? Are we doing what we need to do? Is that top line annual recurring revenue? So my sole focus is just making that number go up and letting the burn essentially be Justin and VP of Finance's. I don't want to say it's just their problem. It's all of our problems, but they obsess over that the way I obsess over growth. Yeah. And so the biggest change I think was like really letting go of a lot of things that I used to worry about and knowing that you have some really good talent now. And now we have even more great talent when you raise money like that. One, you can afford to recruit almost anybody. And two, you can get almost anybody because people want to go work for a company that's going to be around for a while, that's trying to do big things. And so you look around, we have this great team. For me, I think the biggest shift that took a while to like really get used to is just letting the finance team own finances and not getting so much in their business, obviously knowing our numbers, but letting customer support leaders run customer support and do a great job. Yeah. And taking myself out of those things, definitely not entirely, but a lot more than maybe in the past. Yeah. So I remember when we were at the mastermind, and I want to share what I learned at the mastermind. So we're almost like in the present day, but, I remember one thing you said at the mastermind was that, all these guys who are thinking about, man, dude, I get a 3X, I get a 5X, and I'm just killing it. You're like, they don't get it. Why do you say that? I mean, long and short, if me and you are competing in the real estate world and you're running ads to your course or whatever your product is, and you're at a 3X, all I have to do is clone your funnel or your campaign and just spend more aggressively than you and get down to a 1X or a negative, so 0.5X, 0.8X, and I will beat you. That it's as easy as that. Yeah. And the reason that most people don't understand, I mean, we understand it, but as marketers and entrepreneurs, it amazes me how we know these things, but we don't change our behavior. If you acquire a customer, hopefully the product that they bought is not the last product they ever buy. Yeah. If it is, you either don't have
offer flaw.
Yeah, you either don't have other things and you need to go solve that like tomorrow. You need to have other things for them to buy. And if you have other things for them to buy and they're not buying them, you have another problem. You need to fix that problem. Yeah. But look at all the most successful companies in the world. When they first get the customer for the first time, that's most likely a fraction of what that customer will spend over time. Yeah. Look at what we all spend on Amazon or Starbucks or Apple. I mean, my lifetime value at Apple is probably
a lot. Yeah. Tens of thousands.
Yeah. But it didn't cost them that to acquire me the first time. Yep. So like everyone, you want to print money on the front end and have a positive return on ad spend, but you should be way more aggressive and be willing to pay way more money to get that customer up to the point of even losing money in order to acquire them, because you'll make it back on the back end. Just continue to market that person. As long as you have a
back end.
Yeah. And again,
do you think this makes more sense though with like a recurring revenue business versus like a typical high ticket coaching program or something like that.
The recurring revenue businesses have an advantage in that the back end is just there automatically.
Just stay.
Yeah. But I don't think so, because it's all give and take. There's no perfect business. In the recurring revenue business, it's a lot harder, like we talked about, to acquire customers. So your cost to acquire, your CAC is way higher than if you're selling courses to that same audience. So yes, I have a larger, back end setup that's going to monetize people for a long time and SaaS built in. I can be lazy and it's just going to happen, but it costs me way more to get them. So I don't think there actually is an advantage. Every business, if you strategically and purposefully look at, here's the product that I want most customers to come in the front door on, what else can I sell them? And you aggressively sell them those things after they buy the first thing. And by aggressively, I don't mean you don't have to be an asshole. You're offering more value.
This complements what you already bought.
Just let them know about them. They want to know. If they're a customer of yours, they like you. People don't usually give money to people they don't like or trust. So let them know. I mean, we all are dying to know when the next iPhone's coming out. We want to know, what does it have? What's it going to do for me? We're looking forward to the pitch.
Yeah.
Your customers are the same way for your business. So that was the biggest thing that allowed us to really shortcut growth for SamCart, was now we had a big pot of money, so we could go negative on the front end. Meaning, if a customer pays us $100 in month one for SamCart, most people would go say, I'm willing to spend $50, maybe $60 to get that customer.
Yep.
Why? Why wouldn't you spend $200, $400, $600?
Whoa.
And you have to ask yourself that question of, to answer that question, you have to know, what are they worth over time? What are they worth by day 7, by day 30, 60, 90? Which is why we have that information inside SamCart, because we need it. And the smartest marketers in the world know those numbers like the back of their hand.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, somebody bragging about a 3x ROAS, you can brag all you want, but I'm telling you, your business is maybe 1/10 the size it should be if you're willing to go to a 1x.
So ROAS isn't the best metric. LTV would be.
It's CAC to LTV.
CAC to LTV. Explain that to people who don't know.
Yeah. So CAC, cost to acquire the customer. Affiliate marketers might say CPA or whatever it costs you to get the customer.
Yep.
And even if you're doing organic, there's a cost there. Everyone should know how much it costs my business to get a customer in the door for the first time. And then LTV, what are they worth at the end of the day? And
over their whole lifetime.
Over their whole lifetime.
Yep.
I don't really look at the lifetime, because I look at it every once in a while, but if you're a new business, there is no LTV. You don't know what it is yet.
Yep.
You really don't know what it is until...
So what do you look at if you're not looking at that?
I look at where is LTV on day one, which most people call that average order value. So what are they worth immediately? And then what is LTV, what has it grown to by day 7, 14, 30, 60, 90? And then as you get customers that become 180 days, 365 days, know those numbers as well. Know how it grows over time. And if there's ever a period in there where it's not growing, make it grow.
So what are some KPIs that you're looking for at scale? Front end CAC, what are you looking at day one? What's minimum KPI?
What I'm looking at is really what is ROAS on that day one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And so,
Are you good with 0.5?
It depends. We have 3 businesses that we're really running: SamCart, Typeset, and Creator U. So it's different based on what the brand is.
Yeah.
Because the back end is different.
Yeah, the LTV is different.
Yeah. We have on the Creator U side, which is very similar to a course business. It's essentially a newsletter. There's a back end offer on Creator U that is very high ticket and does extremely well.
Yeah. So
meaning that by day 7, it's really by day 14, that customer is worth 3 times what they were on day 1, which means I can go more negative on the front end, because let's say the customer's worth $100 on day 1. They buy a course.
Yeah.
And in that first couple weeks, I have a really high converting back end offer that on average gets those $100 customers to be worth $300.
Yeah.
Well, the amateur entrepreneur will say they're worth $100 on day 1 and I don't know what they're worth on day 14 because no one knows this stuff. Yeah. So I know they're worth $100, so I'm willing to pay $50 because I want to make my return. not realizing that $100 customer is actually worth $300 on day 14.
Yeah, you can
knowing
totally
that
break even.
Now we
worse.
pay, what do we pay? $150 to $200 to get that customer that was only worth 100. So we're like,
so you're going to go 0.5 to 0.7.
Yep.
And then you know that that's going to be a 1.5
Yep.
by day 14.
Yep.
And then is there recurring after that, or you're just good with 1.5?
Yeah, there's a recurring after that because they're kind of on a yearly newsletter. Okay. And that business doesn't even need to make a profit for SamCart. It's a lead gen engine that we're bringing people in to introduce them to SamCart and Typeset.
Yeah, so if Crate or you broke even technically, it'd still be a huge win.
Yep.
And it could lose money too.
Yeah, 100%.
And it would still be a great win.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
So that's more of marketing for you guys. It gets awareness to, hey, we have these products, Typeset and SamCart. You know, you need these.
Yep.
Okay. So on the SamCart side of things, like what would an Ascension acquisition, because we've never talked about this on the show in depth, but like what would a cost of acquisition be on the front end? And then like what are some benchmarks that you're looking at?
Yeah. So SamCart is kind of pure SaaS play, starts at $79 a month. We get 10 to 15% of those monthly signups to go annual. So right off the bat.
That's the upsell right when you buy?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And you can do it. It's not even, I don't even know if it's in the upsell flow. You can decide right at checkout, like, do I want to save 25%, go annual, or do I just want to go monthly?
There's just two options.
Yeah. So average customer's worth 79 because 10, 15% of people go annual. Now the average customer day one is giving us like $100.
Side note with that, what is the ideal amount of options
on a checkout?
Yeah.
I mean, I would do no more than 3. Like if you're selling kind of a tiered system where you say, hey, I have silver, gold, platinum, then I would stick with 3. 4 usually drives conversion down probably.
Yeah, because I have 1,000 a month, a 2,500 a month, and they're 2 different programs.
Yeah.
And I've always debated, do I just keep it at that? But then, where do you incorporate an annual? And like the annual is such a big price that very few are going to click it anyways.
Yep.
So I've struggled with that.
Yeah, that's what I would, if you have separate options for them to choose, I would give those options on the checkout and then use the upsell page, like a very short, sweet, like headline and 200 words to do the annual.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, like at SamCart, you're okay at like a 0.5 front end.
Yeah, I think we actually go more negative on the SamCart side just because we know if they sign up and start using SamCart, they're going to stay for a long time.
But is there any, because I know obviously over the long time you'll be good, but like, is there any point where it might increase on day 30 or, like you said, 7, 14, 30? Are there any, what I guess, would you call them activation points where somebody would then turn into an annual or maybe buy Typeset or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, every business that at least we have, there are strategic back-end offers that are made at certain points. So if someone comes in on monthly, every once in a while, we're offering them the annual upgrade.
And how do you do that? Do you just have someone call or do you?
It's a blend. It's a lot. So like there's email, there's text, there's in-app notifications. We have the sales team can reach out.
Got it.
If they have an account rep, they can reach out. So it's just little kind of soft touch points where, especially if we know they just found value, if they made their first sale or they made their first $1,000, just to remind them like, hey, if you're ready now to commit because you like this thing, you can save 25% by going annual.
Yeah.
We also on the SamCart side have a done for you setup program that somebody like you who, I mean, really any business of any size, switching shopping carts is a huge pain in the butt. Like it's not a fun process. So we have a team that will set up somebody like you. They'll set up your entire checkout flow for whatever your main product or set of products is, set up the upsells, tie in integrations, do all like the really annoying work. And that's a high ticket offer. So that is also made upfront and then strategically along the way to get, again, pops of lifetime value pulled more forward instead of just waiting for that stuff to happen.
Yeah, because the sooner you can truly break even, the more your cash can be velocity.
Yep, exactly.
It can increase.
Yep.
So I actually want to share that. So that is one thing that I took away at this mastermind. So, man, we're already an hour in and it's awesome. Like just to hear the whole SamCart journey, to this point. and how you guys now look at things trying to scale to $1 billion company, right? Like that's what it looks like. And that was what I took away. So at this mastermind, you know, I came a day early. You and I golfed with a couple of other guys who were doing, you know, they've had $100 million things. We had the Jasper AI guys, you know, we had a guy with a protein brand and, you know, other stuff. And then, you know, at the mastermind the next day, there's a few other people who are like, have built $100 million a year companies and stuff. And we were all talking in our small groups and thank you for putting me with a legit.
Real estate investors, I found a brand new way to create cash flow that's better than anything else I've ever done. It's better than rental properties, Airbnb, my flipping business, multifamily. It's the best thing we've done yet. It is building an automated wholesale business. Now you might be saying, Ryan, how do you build an automated wholesale business? Well, what if you had the same exact leads that I get every single month? What if you had a sales script that was so easy to close deals over the phone that you could do it all across the country? And what if you could sell your deals directly on the MLS without a real estate license and without having to actually own the property and getting top dollar? Well, we do that with this new method. And I made an 11-minute video where I go over how it all works, how you can start doing it today. So if you want to go see that video, go to wealthyinvestor.com, go click the case study and see what I'm talking about.
Small group, by the way, that like, it was like actually the perfect people to talk to. But we're all just talking about it. And one thing that stuck out to me is this guy, Fernando, who you kept telling me about. And he had worked at Agora, and he's going to come on the show too. So I'm excited to get him. But he was like, man, look, and Zach, my other friend, talked about this too. He's like, really, it just comes down to how quick can you break even?
Yep.
Like in this business, like we're always thinking about making that smaller. And I started to think about it a lot. And I was like, it just like clicked in my mind one day, something like I had intuitively known, but I could never understand why I knew it. So the problem with real estate, and I love real estate and we'll always do it, but the problem is the cash conversion cycle is really long.
Yeah.
So if I spend $1 to start marketing today, you know, if I buy a rental, the cash conversion is I ain't making nothing until years down the road when I finally sell that rental.
Yeah.
Because clearly the cash flow is not life-changing money, right? People say, well, you buy a volume of rentals, buy 100. Yeah, okay, whatever. I freaking have 100 headaches to go make whatever, right? Long term though, cash conversion wise, it'll be great. But when you really break it down, it's like, okay, it's 10% a year or whatever, right?
Yep.
So then I was like, that never made sense to me, even when I had no money or anything. I'm like, that's not going to change my situation today. So I start flipping houses. And so flipping houses was always a 4 to 6 month time frame. And it's like, well, that's a lot better than 5 years, because if I put money into this deal and let's say I have to put $20,000 as a down payment back then, and it's going to make me $20,000 6 months from now, that's a good return. That's 100% in 6 months, which is 200% over the course of a year.
Yep.
I'm like, that's great. And it's 6 months. But then, you know, you get into wholesaling and you're like, oh, wholesaling, I can make this money back in 30 days. And then I don't have to put up all this capital. And I put up, you know, let's say I put up $2,000, $3,000 in ad spend. And then I go make $15,000 in 30 days or 60 days. Like that's even better.
Yep.
Now my return's even higher. And like I've naturally just started to realize that, but still like either way, no matter how you slice real estate, even if it's wholesaling, even if it's flipping, you're looking at a multi-month, you know, cash conversion cycle to at least break even and get your money back. The reason people like digital, especially real estate investors who like know that, they're all like, dude, I need to get something that can make money today, right? Because a digital product, if I sell you coaching or I sell you a thing, I can just make it today. But as you know, and as I know, yeah, that works with organic and people you know and who are already buyers who you've been nurturing for years. That doesn't work when you want to acquire new customers.
Yeah.
Like I can't just go run an ad, somebody who has no idea who I am, and I'm like, buy this $10,000 thing. And they're like, done. It doesn't work like that. And so when I got into the digital space, I started to realize it kind of had the same problems as real estate. People just don't know it. I was like, yeah, you know, we do this event called WealthCon every quarter, and we do get a lot of people at WealthCon, but we got to market for 90 days to fill this event. And we pay all the event fees up front. We pay speakers. We pay all hundreds of thousands of dollars to have this one conversion event. And man, we better hope it goes good, right? Super kind of high risk in my opinion. So, eventually I brought it down to 30 days without realizing that this was what was happening. But I brought it down to 30 days and we started holding this 3-day workshop called the Cashflow 2.0 workshop. And it's been hyper successful the last 5 months. And I'm like, yeah, this is great. Like, I'm just going to scale my once a month workshop and, I'll just funnel so much money into buying tickets and stuff. And it's going to be great. And Zach and Fernando, I listened to them and I was like, this is actually stupid. Why am I doing it this way? Zach goes, bro, do you know how many webinars I run a day? I was like, how many? He goes, I run 16 a day live. I was like, 16 a day live? That's crazy. I was like, but I get it. Because if you did something live every day like that, your chance to make your money back happens that day.
Yep.
Not 30 days from now. And then if you can get your money back that day, you could spend way faster than everyone else. Like, I'll be capped. Let's just say I wanted to spend $100,000 for the month. Well, I got to wait to go make the $100,000 bucks back. But if I could make it back every day, the 100,000 could now be multiplied 30 times. You're talking $3 million you could spend in the exact same way. So it just started to click for my brain where I was like, I get it. You have to figure out how to keep limiting it. And they kept saying that. They were like, how do we break even in 30 days? Okay, how can we do it in 14 days? How could we do it in 7 days? How could we do it in 3? The golden goose would be you make all your money back same day. But then your point is, but even if you get to that point, why not just spend more and not break even?
Yeah.
And then go even huger. So it's like, but either way, the point is you have to just figure out how to keep condensing that cycle.
Yeah. And you have to be where a lot of people get lazy or they just don't know. You have to think through, is my offer, funnel, setup, campaign, whatever you want to call it, is it as dialed in as it should be?
Yeah.
And you have to understand what your customer should be worth on day 1 and what it should be worth on day 7 and should be worth on day 14 and so on. Like, it's very easy to say, I have a $100 product. I drive people in, I'm getting a $50 cost to acquire. So I'm 2 to 1. That's where most people sit.
Yeah.
The aggressive ones say, okay, let's go to 100% break even day 1.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend 100, make 100. That person looks the same as Fernando, Zach, and me, both break even day 1, but they're not the same people because this guy is settling for a $100 customer that he's probably not going to sell them a whole lot of extra stuff. He's going to make a little bit of money on the back end. Zach, Fernando, people like me who understand this stuff get that customer to be worth 300 on day 1. So they're 1-to-1 ROAS. They both can brag about, breaking even day 1, but they're buying way more customers because their customer's worth 300. This guy's just selling the one course, no upsells. His funnel's a leaky bucket. They're getting the same type of customer, but they're getting them to spend 3 times more. And so you can't just look at somebody's, ROAS or break even time, or you have to know, what are you actually extracting from that customer in that market at certain points in time. Like, it gets super nerdy, but you have to know those numbers.
And that's what I realized. I mean, I was talking to Zach about it and I was like, he's like, bro, I think you don't even need a 3-day workshop. He's like, your offer's so good and so sweet that you could sell it just on a quick webinar. I was like, all right. So literally yesterday I did it. It killed it.
Wow.
It killed it. He was right. I was like, whoa. Now, granted, that was like organic, so I expect it to be worse on paid, but still, even if it's worse, the way I'm looking at it, and I'm probably looking at it the wrong way still, but at least at this current season, I'm looking at it like, yeah, dude, I mean, if we could run this thing every day and it broke even and I get all the recurring, dude, freaking
100%.
Huge win. Like, that's massive. Even if it lost a little bit of money, to your point, next month, we're in the green.
And that's like stats from the SamCart database. It almost doesn't matter what, well, it actually does matter. So I'll start. What's the price point of your offer?
The minimum's $1,000 a month.
So at $1,000 a month, kind of in my mind, when you add recurring onto something, it kind of like 2 or 3x is the effective front end price. But if we just operate on at $1,000 customer, by day 14, you can double what that customer's worth by day 14. So don't look at it as $1,000 customer. Look at it as a $2,000 customer. I'm not saying go spend $2,000 to get them.
Yeah.
But if you're just relying on even just the recurring.
Yeah, I don't need to wait 30 days to get ahead.
Yeah.
There's something that can happen on day 7 or 14.
Yep.
And we have add-ons too. We have like CRM add-ons. We could sell them more leads. We could ascend them. Like, hey, you got to try it. Like, you see this works. Like, let's do the annual.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, people don't, and like the lower your price goes, the higher those multiples get. Meaning if someone's selling a $50 front end, by day 14, you should probably be 3 or 4xing the value of that customer. By day 90, it should probably be like 5x. Just the less that somebody spends on the front end, usually the more you can get them to spend on the back end. It's like if someone buys a stick of gum for $1, 10xing that is not that much. They buy like a $10 magazine. It's not going to break the bank. You sell a $300,000 Lamborghini, don't expect to 10x the value of the $300,000 purchase, but you can double it. But yeah, like it's crazy how few people understand kind of that basic math equation, and how if you understand it,
that's how you like. That was the one thing that was missing in my mind, because I've built $10 million businesses, but I'd never built a $100 million business like all you guys, and it made perfect sense. I was like, they're not doing anything different.
No,
they're literally just spending more and understanding how they can break even quicker. I mean, that's just literally all it is. Because I can't go spend $4 million a month like some of them right now, or $2 million a month like them right now, because I would lose money. And because the system ain't built for it. I couldn't even handle that many. I couldn't even, the ROAS would not be 0.5. It would be 0.1. Like, it would just not be good. So it's not even possible. And I was like, man, the real skill to get there is literally what we are talking about right now. Because once you know the product's a winner and that product can scale, you just have to realize what you can acquire at.
Yep. Yeah, I remember vividly a conversation with Fernando. This is way back in the day. Like, I've known him for 15 years, like since we got started. He actually was a Facebook guru expert at the same time that I was.
Two gurus, the competing gurus.
And then he went off to Agora and cut his teeth over there and learned everything that he now is so smart with. And we reconnected in 2017, and I've just talked to him a couple times a year. And I forget what year it was. It might have been like 2021, 22. And I had that exact conversation with him. I'm like, how did you do what I have seen you do? Like, you're playing at a level that all these
they're doing hundreds of millions
experts can't even fathom. And no one believes what he did at Agora is possible in the digital product space. And they're selling digital products.
They're selling a newsletter.
Yeah.
They don't even have high ticket.
Yeah.
When I heard it, I was like, Fernando, like, let's talk about this. Like, is that really what happened? It's like, yeah. I'm like, this is crazy.
It's insane. And when you realize the secret weapon is essentially what we've been talking about this whole time. Like, it's not like, they have great copywriters, but dude, like their tech over there is crap. Like it's like walking into a federal government building. Like, their offices are in Baltimore, so I've been in there. And like they hand coded.
I don't know why anyone would be headquartered in Baltimore, but okay.
Yeah, me either. I think there is some story.
I've never heard that. Like, there's massive companies in Baltimore. The only company I know is the Orioles.
Yeah, not a lot of exciting stuff in Baltimore. Other than the O's are pretty good right now.
Yeah.
But it's not an impressive play. When you walk in, you would not think they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
But it just comes down to they know their numbers. That's it. Like,
it's just a numbers.
It's so simple. I'm like, that's all it takes? I'm like, I could do this.
Well, that was what opened up for me. When I went to this, I was already like doing this thing and, recurring revenue. And I was definitely going to slow play it a lot more conservatively. I'm like,
yeah.
And when he told me that, he's like, bro, you got to hold that workshop. First off, he's like, I think you could do it in one day. I don't even think you need a workshop. And he goes, second off, if you did, just do more of them. Don't do it once a month. And I was like, man, dude, we've jokingly said we should do this every week because it's so good.
Yeah.
I was like, but I'm not going to do it every week. It takes 9 hours, 12 hours. I don't have that kind of time. And when Zach was like, I run 16 a day and I just hire people to do it. I was like, yeah, I hire everyone else to do everything. Like, why do I think I need to be the guy
Yeah.
on this all the time?
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. We do it weekly now. And what's it called? I still am, I show up every day for an hour, but not all 3. And then eventually I'll kind of like keep phasing out.
Yeah.
But it's still, now it's the same workload. It's 3 hours a week times 4, it's 12 hours. It's the same.
Yeah.
But now we happen every week. Now the cash conversion happens every week.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm just like, yeah, as long as we, break even on the workshop,
Yep.
I'm square.
Yep.
Because we have all these recurring revenue.
Yeah. The part for me too that really made it click is going through all these VC talks, raising money, meeting with a board where there's, billionaires at the table. These are the same numbers that they obsess over. Like when we went and raised money for the first time, I remember the first couple investors were asking like, hey, what's your guys' CAC to LTV? And I didn't know what that meant.
Yep.
And I'm a marketer. Like this is actually a metric that I sort of knew, just didn't know that's how they were talking about it. And then they use terms like your payback period. Like that's the term in San Francisco. You talk to investors.
Is that like when you finally break even?
That's when you break even.
To me, that seems like, I don't want to say it's the most important because obviously LTV is important, but I'm like,
it's pretty important.
Yeah, like those two for sure.
Yeah.
Seem like.
And their benchmark, this is how crazy the software world is. In their world, if you are 3-to-1 LTV to CAC, so you make 3 times more than you spend over who cares how long. They do not care. It could be a decade because they'll give you the money to wait. Like that's the whole point of VC capital is your payback period for them. The benchmark is 6 months.
Yeah.
So if you're less than 6 months and you're better than 3-to-1 LTV, then you think about it. That 6 months is a lot of ad spend to float. You got to have millions of dollars to do it. That's why they exist, is to do those things.
Because they're willing to have those thinner margins. They don't care.
And so when they looked at our business at the time, we were like a 3-month payback period and 10-to-1 CAC to LTV. They were one, extremely impressed, and we were only that good because that's my strong suit is just the marketing and sales. And 2, they were like kind of upset and they were questioning our.
Why are you not spending more?
They're like, are you insane? What are you guys like? Why are you not being more aggressive?
That's what Zach said to me.
Yeah.
I was like,
and that's for me, like, to see billionaire VC, MBA, Wharton grads from San Francisco speak the same way that Fernando and Zach, old school, hardcore, direct response.
They're all saying the same thing.
Saying the same thing. I'm like, I should probably listen at this point. Like,
so what kind of payback are they looking for? So they want 3-to-1. What kind of payback?
Like I said, it's insane.
They don't care.
To them, 6 months or less is fantastic.
Got it.
Like it again, you think the companies that are popular VC backed are usually not marketer led. They're like genius product guys in San Francisco have some crazy idea. So they're not going to think about extracting more revenue from a customer early on. They're more purist thinking.
Yeah.
I'm Mark Zuckerberg. I built Facebook. No ads. I want everyone to love it. I'm going to take over the world by building like the most valuable product for the cheapest price possible.
Yeah.
So his payback was probably years.
Yep.
It's just not the way they think. And there's pluses and minuses to both. Like, I wish I could afford to think that way.
Right. If you have all the capital in the world, you can think that way.
Yeah. But I think that's why, at least for San Francisco, they've kind of settled on 6 months.
Did
or
a Silicon
less.
Valley-based company buy you guys? Is that what happened?
You mean like invest?
Yeah.
Our first investor is Atlanta-based. Second is San Francisco. Third is LA, New York.
Got it. Okay.
So they're kind of spread out.
And your guys' headquarters in Austin, for those who don't know. So what's interesting to me is like I've been really thinking about this a lot too now. And now that I'm seeing like these are the correct numbers that everyone looks at, I never looked at it that way. I looked at it we didn't get a 3, right?
Yep.
Like we got to get more profitable. We got to keep margins good and keep things lean and whatever. And now I'm like, I get it. That is how you get to 100 million. And that's what makes a business more attractive to be sold or to be an investor or whatever. And like math is math.
Yeah.
Like if you just know that, dude, everyone's worth at least 3 times what I'm getting them for, and I know my cost of goods and everything else maybe is 1 times of that, I know I'm going to have a third as profit. Like, it's that simple.
Yeah.
Do I just have enough runway
Yep.
to get there?
Yep.
That's the question.
Yeah, and it's the same. Like this doesn't just apply to online businesses either. I mean, it's the same offline, online. Doesn't matter the type of business. Knowing those numbers is the only key to scale. Like we have the same problem
To scale, and that's a good point.
Yeah.
Because most people like, I want to scale, and
Yeah.
they don't really actually want to scale. They're like,
Yeah.
they would have been you when SamCart was doing 10 million, and you could have just said, I want to just make money.
Yeah. Yeah.
You wouldn't have been trying to scale. You could have optimized for net income.
I might change this like as my career goes on, but I actually think everyone would want to scale if they knew it didn't have to make their life miserable. I think everyone has false assumptions on what scale means.
Okay.
That they lived what I lived in the early days of like, this sucks. I don't like this company anymore. I don't want to be here.
15 people scale.
Yeah. Like, and then I just hired one person and then I liked my company again.
Yeah.
They imagine all the headaches that an entrepreneur with less than 10 people is not living a very fun life, usually. Like,
no, if you lose one, Cardone told me this, like it's actually way more risky to be small.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, bro, I mean, when you're small, you only got a few employees. If one quits,
Yep.
a third of the workforce just quit.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden everything's in chaos.
Yep. Yeah. Our business is way more stable today than it was then.
Yeah.
And
if
I
one
wouldn't
person
have
quits
thought,
or what, like, all right, whatever.
Yep.
It's such a small portion of what you guys do.
Yeah. And that's like my wife and her mom own a dance studio that we bought into, made some tweaks. The business is doing great. And so my like scale brain now is studying, okay, what are these numbers for this dance studio? Because this kind of like cash conversion cycle should be paying for the next studio. We should be opening up another one. And my mother-in-law, who has been the entrepreneur for 40 years, dealt with all the headaches, is like, that sounds like the worst possible idea ever. Yeah, obviously I'm not going to push this on.
Yeah, you're not super concerned
If this
about
was
that.
just like a regular portfolio company, then maybe I'd push for it. But no, but it's the same. Like these numbers are, you got to know them. It doesn't matter what your business is.
Yeah. And when you calculate LTV for somebody who maybe doesn't have like, years, right? Because even for me, when I look at it, I'm like, okay, we've been running this model for like 6 months now. It's going great. We have a churn idea now and we can see things, and we're going to improve that now that we can kind of see when people would fall off and everything else. But would you just take, because this wouldn't even factor in ascensions or upsells or anything, but like, would you just kind of like divide it by the churn number in a worst case?
Yeah. That's an easy way to do it.
Yeah.
For me, the way, like if I was starting over today and today was our first day live, and we're getting customers, it's okay. By the end of the day, I'm going to know what my day one LTV is.
Yep.
Which is average order value. By the end of tomorrow, I'm going to know what day two is. I'm just going to keep tracking it every day. And I'm going to look at those main benchmarks. So like in our SamCart dashboard, as of last week, every customer now, it's calculated for you by customer at day 1, 7, 35, 65, 95.
35 is interesting.
We did it because a lot of people do like monthly rebills.
Yeah.
And if you do it on day 30, you don't know what time all those rebills are going to hit.
And people have declines.
Yeah. So I give it the 5 days to like go through dunning, et cetera.
Yep.
But like in 35 days, I'm going to know what my day 35 is. And again, like I'm thinking more like Fernando and Zach, where day 14 is kind of my goal. So within 14 days.
Is that SamCart's goal to pay back in 14 days?
No, SamCart, like we have, I think our goal right now is like 90.
But they're all 14 because they're running education businesses.
Yeah. It's a little different. I can't speak for them, but most education businesses that are recurring is way less sticky than a software like ours. Like you can leave, but it's probably not a great idea for your business if you don't have the ability to take an order.
Yeah. What's like your guys' target churn as a software company?
It depends on what type of customer it is. So because we just market everywhere, we have upper tier sellers that do 6, 7, 8, 9 figures. Our churn for them, our target is less than 1%.
Yeah.
Like they should never leave.
Yeah.
If you're a little bit smaller, you're doing like 5, 10, 20 grand a month, sub 4 or 5%. And if we have a lot of folks that aren't making money, like we can't stop them from signing up, but they're like I was in train baseball days. They're figuring shit out like on the fly. They're paying us $100 a month or $80 a month because their business should be, making money soon according to them. Their churn is sub 10%. So it just depends like what bucket you fall under. But
yeah. What's interesting is I started doing recurring a year ago after never doing it. And I first started with a $97 community. And, you know, I just don't really know what to expect. I'm listening to all these guys and I'm like, well, let's just try it out. Worst case. And what I found was the churn was just so bad.
Yep.
Then I'm like, there's no way this ever makes money. This literally can never make money.
Yep.
Like the only way to make money is you get an upsell. But like this as the model, there's no way it makes money.
Yep.
And I really haven't heard of anyone truly scaling it or making it. Because the churn was like over, not even counting the trial churn.
Yep.
Right? Where like we give them a trial and like most people quit the trial.
Yeah, your trial conversion. Yeah.
It's less than 50%.
Yep.
But then after the trial, even then, it was still like.
Was it monthly or yearly?
Monthly.
That's the problem.
Yeah. It was still like
and
20 plus percent.
I had the same thought. Like the first Train Baseball, the first product was actually recurring because I saw these guys doing it. And I never sold a single one, like in 18 months. And then I flipped to selling one off, started selling. And so forever I tried recurring. It just never, same thing. I'm like, this does not work. Everyone talking about this is so full of crap.
Yeah.
And then I met Fernando and he's selling content via email. It's like not even a members area. Like there's no videos. He's selling emails.
Yeah.
And their churn is very low.
Yeah.
And it comes down to two things. One, charge yearly, not monthly.
Yep.
And two, have something that they need. Like that's the problem with all of us who have ever sold in the like course world. We sell something that kind of has an end. Like I'm going to teach you these strategies for better Facebook ads. You get the strategies and I don't have anything. Make a newsletter. Hire an engineer to build a little chat bot that you throw into your members area that does something ongoing. Like there's ways to make people want to come back.
Yeah.
Like give monthly updates, like do something. There are definitely ways. It is much harder in the digital content world, but the way I always look back is for Agora, they're selling stock tips.
Yeah.
So every month you're getting a new stock that you should buy.
Yeah.
Like why cancel? Like you're getting a brand new piece of value that you want every month. And what can we all learn from that?
Yeah, theirs is interesting because theirs is based on the news. And I talked to Zach and him about this. I'm like, man, yeah, real estate has news, but it's not as fast moving as stocks or crypto.
Yeah, but think it doesn't even have to be news. Like maybe in the real estate world, it could be, hey, every month I'm going to send you like the target houses you should go get that are now on the market that weren't. Well, this is what new opportunity.
So this was the main switch that we made was instead of it just being education, I don't even really call us an education company anymore. Like I would, and I'm in the process actually of like just kind of not rebranding it, but just repositioning it as, no, this is a real estate platform. Okay. You're going to get motivated seller leads every month. You're going to get a CRM. You're going to get another software. Yeah, you'll get one-on-one coaching and everything else too to support that.
Yep.
But like, that's
you're
what you're
tools.
getting.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
And so the education's like 10%.
And that's what course creators should, like, in my opinion, that's what they all should do.
That's what I think.
They can all do it. It doesn't matter what niche you're in. There's some tool, training, resource, update that you can include in your recurring thing that is not working right now to make it work.
Knowing this industry and what I just told you, what would be a good target churn for us?
I guess depends on the quality of your customer. Like, are these newbies? High net worth? Okay, they're beginners. Well, are you saying monthly or you're going to stick with monthly?
Yeah.
And it's at $97?
No, the 1,000 plus.
Oh, right. I mean, that high ticket, it should be pretty low.
Meaning what?
That's a good question. What is it now?
We're still dialing it in, but before I answer that, I'll say this. So I was talking to another real estate guy, multiple software guys in the space. They're like, honestly, like it could be anything, but you're probably going to be at 15%. They're like, that's just this industry. People dabble in it. They leave, you know, all this stuff. Right.
Yep.
And then, which by the way, I would be like, yeah, I mean, that's lower than the 20 something percent like the community thing was doing.
Yep.
But I was like, okay, there's that. And then another guy was telling me about how you would know this, how Shopify calculates churn. Because then I was like, wait a minute. So everybody, when they say their churn numbers, are doing it differently.
Oh, they all do it different.
Yeah, and I was
It's
like,
crazy.
So how do I even know what my churn is relative to other? So basically, like Shopify's, the way they IPO it or whatever they in their public thing is like
Certain
after
code.
90 days,
Yep.
this is our churn.
Yeah, you can't
2
listen to SaaS companies. Like you got to ask people in your niche. Like in the SaaS world, some it's everyone, some it includes trial conversion, some it doesn't.
Yeah.
Most people, to make it look artificially lower, are saying, I'm going to take out these like kind of bad customers that don't do anything.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to tell you the churn of my best people. That would be like me saying SamCart's is 1% because our top customers never leave.
But that's what Shopify does. He was saying like after 90 days, that's what their churn is. Because all these people are thinking they're going to try a store. You know, whatever.
I don't know how that happened, but the market just agreed to let all like SaaS companies lie. So that is not what it is.
So what I can say is doing it monthly, and some people will buy an annual, but majority are monthly. We are, I think, around 11%. And that's before like even all these new things we're going to do.
Yeah.
And I do know that after the first month, because month one, and I'm sure it's with every recurring revenue business, month one has the worst.
Yep.
And then after that, we are like, I want to say sub 8-7%.
Yeah, it should be bad, better, stable. Like that's the way it will work.
Yeah.
Your goal is to drive all of them down, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think you're doing pretty good right now. Like all the stuff, you're giving them the right things, like reasons to stay.
Yeah, they don't need anything else.
Yeah, at this point, I'd probably just diligently ask the people that leave why and just see if you learn anything. But other than that, I think it's probably pretty spot on.
Honestly, it's always just money.
Yeah.
Majority is, I can't afford to do another.
Then is there like a quick, I heard this the other day. It's like, is there a quick win you can give them that makes them money?
Well, this is the problem, right? This isn't like the digital space where all of a sudden we can go sell some stuff and make money. Real estate is slow, no matter what.
Yeah.
And I tell them that too. I set expectations. I'm like, look, you got to have a 6-month mindset going into this because that is what.
Is there a way to get them into a deal quickly that they
we get people into deals quick. A lot of people
even the people that cancel?
Well, no, the people who cancel probably did not get a deal. Well, actually, I take that back. There are people who have, but they're like, I literally just cannot afford next month. Once the deal closes.
Do they come back?
Yeah.
Because then, I mean, like, again, like I would factor that into churn. If that is happening like really at scale, that a lot of these people leave because of money, but they got a deal, they make the deal and come back.
Yep. That happens.
Then you're.
That happens, but I mean, that's not like, I wouldn't say that's the common scenario. The common scenario is somebody tries it, who's interested, whether it's a money issue or they realize they don't want to talk to sellers or whatever the case is.
Yeah. You're not going to solve everything.
Yeah.
I think you're doing pretty darn good.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious.
But again, like that's a dangerous thing to just believe. So I would, if there's anything I've always learned, it's like find the Fernando, like find the crazy person in your niche who is doing numbers you can't imagine are possible.
Yeah.
Because it just changes the way
you see it.
Yeah, you see it. And then you stay up all night to figure out how they're doing it and change your business.
Well, that's what I was asking Fernando too. I was like, how much revenue do you think that what I'm doing could do? Like, what's the potential, right? Because I was talking to...
It's the best question to ever ask. I love that question.
So this would be a TAM question, total addressable market.
Yep.
So this was really interesting. So I talked to all the real estate flipping, wholesaling, SaaS company guys, because they're all my friends. They've all been on this show and stuff.
Yep.
And they all said the same thing. They were all like, we've all done studies, cost a lot of money. It seems to be the total addressable market of wholesalers, people who would buy data, get a CRM, all this stuff, is around 200,000 to 300,000 in America. So like we know that's our market.
Yep.
And they go, but that's not your market. And I was like, okay, like why? Like, because you're in just the opportunity market, the biz op market.
Yeah.
That's millions.
Yep.
You're not competing with people who are in real estate. Majority of people, you're going to convince them to try wholesaling and flipping. They're looking at laundromats. They're looking at Shopify. They're looking at all of it.
Yep.
So you have all those people that could potentially choose your path.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And so
Yep.
Fernando, he's like, dude, we had brands that did 100 million with just one brand. You're in real estate, dude. It is a huge niche. You could do 100 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it makes sense. There's other real estate guys I know that have done 100 million plus in the years.
Yeah.
But it's like an interesting thought.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. Like those scenarios happen few and far between, but they're like the biggest needle moving. When you have that like mental expansion exercise of doing whatever it takes to have a conversation with someone who can show you what's possible.
Yeah.
That's what we did for the dance studio, where we basically invested in it. It was like 2 years ago. My mother-in-law was probably just going to give my wife half of it, but the business needed some cash to like get into a new building.
Yeah.
And I went and found a dance business guru guy who had a coaching program, got him on the phone and just said, what's possible here?
Yeah.
Like I want to get involved, and I think
we want 100 stores.
Yeah. And they were doing like, man, I don't know, 180,000 top line at the time. And he's okay. Asked me a bunch of questions. He said, look, there's someone very similar to you and your location in our mastermind group. They're doing 1.5 million top line, $1 million net. I'm like, okay, I'm in. If you're telling me that's possible.
Yeah.
And that was less than 2 years ago. She did over $1 million top line last year.
Wow.
And it was just like, you act different when you know what's possible.
Yeah.
It's the whole 4-minute mile thing. Like soon as someone did it, now everyone can do it magically. Like our brain just expands to like, okay, it can't be that hard.
I love it. Well, dude, we could talk all day. We got a tea time to get to. So
yes, we do.
We'll probably have to do another one. If you guys like this episode, comment below, because we talked about a lot of in-depth things that I don't think you're ever really going to hear on the internet. So definitely comment below. And for anyone who wants to learn more about what you're doing, obviously you guys have SamCart, you have Typeset. We didn't even talk about Typeset, but you bought that business and it's awesome now. Like where can they find all that?
Yeah, samcart.com, typeset.com.
What does Typeset do, just for those who don't know?
Think Canva with an AI twist to it. You basically paste in your content and it spits out really cool, well-designed ebooks, lead magnets, PDFs, webinars, social posts, ads.
We need that. We need more graphics.
Yeah, it does. It's cool.
So they can make dope graphics of me?
Yep, they can.
Cool. So Tiffany, tell the team to do that. Go get a Typeset subscription so I can get more ads out there.
Sounds good.
But cool, guys. Go check it out, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.